Alright, Gearhead Rob again. I'm evaluating the On3 s550 twin kit here, and I'm going to go over a couple of things. The downsides of this kit and where you have to put some work into it. So, I covered in some of the videos on the shop page that, you know, the flanges for the dump pipes are not exactly milled correctly, so you've got to take the gates come with flanges, so you've got to take these new flanges and weld them to the dump pipe so everything will line up correctly, so you can use the billet clamps. Not a big deal. My kit was missing some 2.5-inch clamps. Not a big deal. I'm local to On3, so none of this stuff was a big deal for me. But this is where I'm going to get into bitching, because I have the install guide on our forum, gearheadbuilt.com. Click on the forum, and I'm mocking everything up right now. So you'll see the turbos are up in here. I'm mocking up the cold side, hot side, and I'm mocking up all the oil system. I'm going over a project from another shop. So I've been chomping at the bit for doing one of these for some time now. And honestly, this is where I'm going to have an issue. They changed this up. If you look at my install guide, the original kits had a straight fitting here and a straight fitting here. And literally, that's what needs to be there. They had a straight fitting coming out of here. Now they have a 90 fitting coming out. 190 fitting would be fine for the other side. This side, it really needs a straight. Because, legitimately, you hang the tank here. You're going to have to make a bracket. You don't get a bracket for the tank. And, you know, it would line up perfectly with the drain. And the straight would put it right down into the drain tank. I'm not going to run that 90 on that one, because it's just slightly uphill, and I wanted to mount it back some under the tranny cover, so that way the dips, you know, the drain plug isn't covered up, because you can mount this farther forward, but then you're going to run into issues with the drain plug. So I'm going to make a little bracket to hang it just under here, and our ground clearance would still be the same as it would be with the scavenge pump in place. So that's where I'm at with this. You're going to spend a little bit of time. This is not like the 11 to 14 kits where you can take the hot side housing and bolt it on and put it all together and then put the centers in. I'm going to be playing around with test fitting this kit as much as possible. The biggest thing with this is going to be gate placement and rotation. So I'm going to be covering this part of the install very well, because this is going to be the biggest problem. You want to install the gates on the headers before you shove them in there. It's easier. Unless you have a vacuum pump to suck the diaphragm up to install it with the firing ring. Then it makes life easier. And of course, the dump tube issue. But right now, we're going to be doing the oil feed stuff. And when you come down to the oil feed stuff, you're going to have to take that pressure sensor and you're going to have to put a clamp around the metal part of it. And the reason for that being is On3 changed up the oil feed stuff because it's a little different on a 15 cars. This is all anodized aluminum. So the oil pressure sender does not ground very well. That's why you got to solder a piece of wire to a clamp and put it around the sensor so the sensor grounds. The other problem I'm going to complain about is, see, these are the 90 fittings they give you because they're special fitting for those oil pumps. And these are really great oil pumps, guys. So I'm not too pressed about the oil pump issue at all. It's little silly stuff like this with the On3 kits that have always been, and hopefully in time they'll get all this stuff sorted out. I don't know how old this kit was. It's been a few months, and of course I will say this kit has been through another shop. So that being said, I know the 90 on here will be perfect because it'll go up. What I may do on this car, instead of running it clear up to the oil fill cap, is punching the pan and running it right back into the pan here, because I feel that's a better solution in shortening it all up. The cold side tubing, I'm going to revise the driver's side from the way they originally did it. They have this snake head that comes here, and then they have this ugly looking. I'm not a fan of that coupler. I'm not going under the subframe with this. So periodically, these are the things. This kit is still relatively new. It's been out for a year now, and things have changed up. I don't know why they went with these 45s on here, but also I will hint around that the s550 kit will be changing. A new revised kit will probably be coming out, And then there might be another kit behind that one. I know there's a new 11 to 14 big single kit coming out because everybody's wanting one. It's going to be a while, so don't press it. A lot of you guys have. I put the big 101 housings on all these turbos. I don't care. They need a big turbo. They need the big housings. The smaller housings choke these cars. And as you can see, I'll have pictures in the install guide of all this stuff, but these housings are tiny. They're going to choke the car. We've got a ton of work to do on this car, but this is initial testing. Now I'm going to cover a couple of other things. Intercooler brackets. In my install guide right now, you'll see one with a bunch of nuts instead of spacers. These bolt holes in the intercooler bracket need drilled out. These bolt holes did not. I did have to take a step-up bit in here so I could stick the nut in and get them in to get the intercooler in. Of course, there's this, whatever this module is, I'm not 100%. But we're going to be trimming this bracket up to clear this cold side stuff. It seems the cold side stuff here is kind of tight on this. It's not a big deal. I'm going to be changing the blow-off valve springs accordingly. I'm going to put 10 PSI springs in this one. So that way I don't have to tear this all back apart later and redo it again. Of course, I'm providing the proper blow-off valve springs for all the kits. I've got replacement parts too. We'll also be covering... I'll do a couple videos on the install of the S550 fuel system as well. This car was a basket case of a mess. I'm still touching up a lot. The owner's got a suspension kit and a bunch of other stuff to go on here. So this is where we're at. Of course, I did another video with my potato phone. This is the new phone, so I've got the MBRP kit in place. I've got to pull it, but I've got to pull the H pipe back down and trim these back right here because the downpipes come back to right about here. And of course they give you slip bands to hold all this stuff together. I'm going to be going over a lot on this one and changing it up, tweaking it a little bit. But yeah, this is a good kit for the money, but you're going to have to work with it a little bit more than per se other kits. I like this kit better than the Hellion kit because if you look under the Hellion cars, granted, the twins are right up in the engine bay, and it looks fucking sweet. This is more of a sleeper status car, but if you look under a Hellion car, there's a nightmare of plumbing everywhere. So yeah, keep that in mind. I'm going to be covering a lot more videos on the S550s. We're building a. We're going to be doing more install videos. Of course, stock block 5.0. We're taking the single Fox kit to the extreme and seeing how far we can push it. It's a stock block. If you can see right here, it's stock Ford stuff. So, but I'll cover this again. The stock 5-liter pushrod motors can make enough power to split these open like a watermelon, and I mean this one's split all the way down. So keep this in mind. On3 kits are great bang for the buck. Some of these kits you're going to have to work a little harder with. I support these. I test these things. And it's about time I finally got an S550 kit in the shop here to review. So stay tuned. I will be updating the buying and install guide for these. So keep that in your head. I have some info up in there now, but I'm going to be covering it more in depth like I did with the... I'm going to be covering it more in depth like I did with the 11 to 14 kit because I do so many of those cars. Stay tuned, guys. A lot more coming. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tell all your friends.